They say if you listen closely, you can hear the moment your life fractures, like the sharp crack of ice splitting under pressure. Mine came on a Tuesday. It started like any other. Alarm. Coffee. Her perfume in the air before I even opened the bedroom door. She was already gone, left a note on the kitchen counter in handwriting that looked too graceful to carry anything cruel. Have a good day, babe, it said, with a heart at the end. A heart. Funny, in hindsight. Work was the usual grind. Emails, meetings where everyone said the same thing 5 different ways, and lunch that tasted like apathy. The only outlier was a text from my old college buddy, Micah. You still trust your wife, he wrote. No hello. No how's life. Just that grenade. I stared at the screen. Laughed at it. The kind of laugh that doesn't leave your mouth. I replied, of course. Why? His response came fast. Too fast. Check your email. I didn't know how to tell you. I hope I'm wrong. The rest of the day, I sat with that buzzing in my bones. I didn't open the email right away. I waited until I got home. Maybe part of me knew. Maybe the crack had already started forming, and I just didn't want to hear it splinter. At 7:43 p.m., I poured a glass of whiskey, sat on the couch, and opened the email. No subject. Just 3 attachments. The first was a photo. My wife, Ashley, sitting at a bar with a man I didn't recognize. He was too close. She was too comfortable. Her smile wasn't the one I got anymore. It was the kind people give to someone they think about before falling asleep. The second was a screenshot of a message thread. Her name at the top. Can't wait for the weekend, she wrote. I told him I'm going to a conference. Good, the man replied. He's clueless, huh? Then she sent a photo. It wasn't obscene, just intimate. Her feet curled up on hotel sheets. Wine glass in one hand. A view behind her that wasn't our city. The timestamp? 3 weeks ago. The same weekend she'd come home and kissed me at the door like she was tired from networking. The third attachment was a video. I didn't watch it. I didn't need to. The sound I made wasn't a cry. Wasn't a scream. It was more like a breath you don't know you're holding until it turns to ash in your throat. Then I did what most men in my position wouldn't. I didn't confront her. I cleaned the glass. Closed the email. And I sat still. For hours. Because when you find out your reality is a lie, there's a dangerous calm that settles in your chest. Not anger. Not sorrow. Clarity. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm. Didn't hit snooze. Didn't need coffee. Ashley was already dressed, floral blouse, fresh makeup, the scent of jasmine, and something unfamiliar clinging to her like fog. She kissed me on the cheek and said, have a good one. Okay, like she wasn't breaking me in increments. I smiled. A real one, too. Because when you're talking to a ghost in the skin of your wife, you learn that smiling isn't for her. It's for you. It's armor. It's control. She left. I watched her drive away. I didn't follow. I didn't call Micah. I didn't scream into the wind like some movie cliché. I made a list. Confirm. Collect. Disappear. Deliver. Simple. Cold. Efficient. I had no idea what I'd deliver yet, but something inside me whispered, make it count. The day passed in a haze of reconnaissance. I called in sick, something I'd never done in years. Used the time to pull threads. Bank statements. Phone records. The kind of data you overlook when you trust someone to say, I love you, and mean it. She'd been careful, but not careful enough. One call in particular, repeated daily, always under 10 minutes, stood out. A number I didn't recognize. So I did what any man does when he needs confirmation and already knows what he'll find. I called it. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hello. Calm. Smooth. That kind of voice you'd expect from someone who's never been punched in the mouth. Who is this? I asked. A pause. Who's this? He shot back, almost reflexive. Defensive. Like someone caught with his hand somewhere it doesn't belong. I think you know who this is, I said quietly. You've been spending time with my wife. Silence. Heavy. Long enough to fill a canyon. Then he said it. The dumbest line in the history of dumb lines. Look, man, this isn't what you think. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was so predictably stupid, it was impressive. Tell me, I said, calm as lake water, does your wife know who her husband is? Another pause. Click. Coward. That was all I needed. Step 1. Confirm, complete. You don't bury a marriage with screaming matches and flying plates. That's too loud. Too clumsy. No, if you're smart, you cremate it in silence. One clean strike. No echo. I waited until Friday. She came home late. Smelled like guilt disguised as overpriced cologne. Claimed she stayed late for client meetings. I nodded. Everything okay? She asked, dropping her purse by the door. Casual, like nothing was unraveling. Yeah, I said. Just tired. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of pain, but because something inside me had finally stopped bleeding. I was done wondering why. Done replaying memories like they'd somehow start ending differently. I was done being the fool in someone else's play. The next morning, I was up before dawn. She was still asleep, face buried in the pillow like someone at peace. Maybe she was. Maybe you only lose sleep when you've got something left to lose. I didn't wake her. I packed my clothes in silence. 2 duffel bags. No more, no less. I wasn't planning to disappear forever, just long enough for the message to burn in her brain like a brand. Then I did one final thing. I walked into the bedroom, still dark except for the light creeping through the blinds, and I placed a folded piece of paper on my pillow. Simple. Clean. No rage. Just truth, laced with barbed wire. Does your new friend know who his wife is? I already told you. Attached, one photo. The one from Micah's email. Her lips inches from her boyfriend's. Frame perfect infidelity. Then I walked out the door. No note on the fridge. No fight. No keys left behind. She would wake up in our marital bed, stretch like it was any other Saturday, roll over for a kiss, and find the truth waiting in my place. That's when the marriage died. Not with a bang, but with a whisper that echoed louder than any scream. I already told you. Step 2, collect, complete. When you walk out of your own life, it doesn't feel like freedom at first. It feels like bad reception, like you're halfway through a call and someone on the other end just hangs up. You stand there, holding dead air, waiting for a voice that isn't coming back. I didn't go to a hotel. Didn't call a friend. I drove. No destination. Just the hum of the engine and the growing realization that, for the first time in years, I didn't owe anyone an explanation. It was liberating. It was terrifying. It was quiet. That night, I ended up in a small coastal town 3 hours away. Population, don't ask questions. The kind of place where folks wear ball caps to church and don't care what car you drive, as long as you park it straight. I found a cheap rental, studio-sized, with creaky floors and a stubborn faucet that wheezed like it was holding back secrets. Perfect. No photos on the walls. No shared memories in the furniture. Just 4 walls, 1 bed, and a lock I controlled. That first night, I laid on my back staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence. You'd think it would bring peace. It didn't. I thought about how she would react when she found the note. Would she cry? Doubtful. Would she panic? Possibly. Would she call me? She did. 8 missed calls by morning. 3 texts. Ashley, Logan, come home. Please. Ashley, this isn't the way to handle it. Can we just talk? Ashley, did you seriously leave a picture on the pillow? Are you trying to blow up my life? Yes, actually. That was the point. I didn't respond. You see, some people think silence is passive, that it's the absence of action. But silence can be the loudest move you make. It forces the other person to sit with their own echo. Later that afternoon, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. Hey, it's Chase. We need to talk. Man to man. I stared at the screen like it was something disgusting stuck to my shoe. Chase. The man who tried to serve me my own life on a silver platter like I should thank him for the leftovers. I didn't reply. Not yet. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I wanted him to wonder what I might say. For 3 days, I ghosted the world. I turned my phone off. Walked the beach. Sat in diners where no one knew my name. I became invisible by choice, a shadow with a coffee mug and a 1,000-yard stare. On the 4th day, I turned my phone back on. More texts. This time from her sister, her coworker, even her mother, the same woman who once told me I wasn't Ashley's type. Guess I became her type long enough to pay the mortgage and carry her shopping bags. But it was the message from Ashley that finally told me everything I needed to know. Ashley, I told Chase you were bluffing. He's freaking out. You made him think his wife knows something. That was low. That's when I smiled. Because she just confirmed it. She told him I was bluffing, which means he doesn't actually know if I told his wife. Now he's paranoid. Panicking. Probably checking his phone every 2 minutes, wondering which direction the fallout's going to come from. That was step 3. Disappear. And make them wonder what's next. You see, revenge doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to come with fire and fists. The best revenge is psychological. It's surgical. Let them stew. Let them spin. So I made my move. I found her address, Chase's wife. Jenna. I'd heard Ashley mention her once in passing, back when Chase was just a work friend. I sent her a package. Inside, a copy of the same photo I'd left on my pillow and a flash drive labeled, "Ask your husband about Santa Monica. Start with room 312. That was the hotel from one of their little getaways. The one Ashley claimed was a corporate training weekend. I didn't include a note. Didn't need one. A picture says 1,000 words. A flash drive screams them. I sent it anonymously, of course, but I left just enough breadcrumbs to let her know this wasn't some scam. This was real. This was personal. And now, the clock was ticking. I imagined Chase came home one night and found Jenna sitting at the kitchen table, that photo laid out like evidence in a murder trial. I imagine his heart stopped. His mouth dried out. His lies collapsed mid-sentence. I imagine Ashley got a phone call from him that night. Angry. Accusatory. But what could she say? She had already told him I was bluffing. And now, it turns out I wasn't. That's the moment betrayal boomerangs. Not when the affair starts. Not when it's discovered. But when the people who thought they were in control realize they're no longer holding the steering wheel. I slept well that night. Not because the hurt was gone. Not because the scars were healed. But because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't the one losing sleep. There's a kind of pleasure you don't talk about in polite society. Not the romantic kind. Not victory or fame. No, I'm talking about the quiet pleasure of knowing your enemies are now afraid to check the mail. It had been 3 days since I mailed Jenna the photo and the flash drive. 3 days of silence from Chase. No texts. No calls. The bravado had vanished, poof. That told me everything I needed to know. Ashley, though, she still hadn't caught on to the gravity of what I'd done. That was her fatal flaw. She always underestimated how much I knew, and overestimated how much I cared to argue. Her last message came in that morning. Ashley, you're really dragging this out. You're not a saint either. You've made mistakes too. Maybe if you hadn't been so distant. I didn't finish reading it. Just closed the app. You know what cheaters love more than sneaking around? Excuses. They turn betrayal into performance art. They break a vow, then act like you forgot your lines. But see, I wasn't playing her game anymore. I had already left the stage. Now I was sitting in the audience, popcorn in hand, watching the show burn down. Around noon, the real fun started. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I don't pick those up. But something told me this one was worth answering. Hello. A pause. Then a voice I hadn't heard before, shaky, tight. Logan. Speaking. This is Jenna, Chase's wife. I stood up from the couch and walked over to the window, staring out at the ocean like I was in a scene from some detective drama. Jenna, I said evenly. I was wondering if you'd call. She let out a slow breath. You could hear the pieces clicking together in her head. It's true, isn't it? She asked. Everything in that envelope. It's her. Ashley. It's them, I said. Plural. She was quiet. Then came the sound of a breath being held too long and let out too fast. That inhale you take when the last of the denial leaves your body. I'm sorry, she said. I should have seen it. I mean, there were signs. There always are, I said. But we're not wired to look for them. Especially when we love someone. That's the rub, isn't it? Love teaches you to look away. But betrayal? That teaches you to stare. Why did you send this to me? She asked, her voice cracking slightly. What do you want from me? Nothing, I said. That stunned her into silence. I didn't send it to destroy your life. I sent it so you wouldn't keep building on a foundation that was already crumbling. That's the difference between me and them. Her voice trembled now. He's denying everything. He said you photoshopped it. That it's all some revenge fantasy. I actually laughed. Chase? Deny something? Color me shocked. I'm not stupid, she said quickly, defensively. I just needed to hear it. You already knew, I told her. People like us? We always know. We just wait until it hurts enough to admit it. Silence again. Then she asked, so what now? I paused. And then I said it, clear, cold, and final. Now. I take the rest. That night, I called a lawyer. Not the family friend who helped us with real estate years ago. No, I found someone with sharper teeth. The kind who smiles like a shark and has a framed quote in her office that says, take everything but the ashes. She answered my questions before I could ask them. You've got the leverage, she said. You left on your terms, you have documented evidence, and your name is on every major asset. She'll try to play emotional damage, but if we move fast, you'll be 3 steps ahead. Music to my ears. I gave her everything: screenshots, emails, the photo, the timeline. I even told her about Jenna. She smiled through the phone. Perfect, she said. Now we wait for the panic. And oh, did the panic arrive? The very next day, Ashley called me. This time I picked up. Logan, she said, out of breath, like she'd just finished sprinting across a battlefield of her own making. What did you do? I didn't answer. Let the silence crawl down the line. Chase's wife showed up at his office today, she hissed. She screamed at him in the parking lot. Said he was a liar and a homewrecker. He nearly lost his job. His boss pulled him into HR for 2 hours. Wow, I said, sipping coffee. Sounds like a rough day at work. She was seething now. This isn't funny, Logan. You're ruining people's lives. No, I said. I'm revealing what they actually are. You ruined the lives. I'm just holding up the mirror. You think this makes you some kind of hero? She snapped. You think this makes you better than me? No, I replied. I just think it makes me finished. And then, calmly, I hung up. By the end of the week, the lawyer had filed for divorce. We listed infidelity as the cause. Attached documentation. She'd need a miracle to get a favorable split now. Ashley tried to reach out again: emails, calls, a voicemail where she cried. I didn't answer any of it. Not out of spite. Out of principle. You don't beg for forgiveness in the ruins you helped build. The final nail? A letter, handwritten, no less, from Jenna. It was short. Just 4 lines. Logan. Thank you for the truth. I'm done living in his shadow. I hope your next chapter is quieter than your last. Jay. That was it. No bitterness. No melodrama. Just closure. A rare currency in these kinds of stories. And as I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer I'd probably never open again, I realized something. This wasn't the end. This was just the start of the long, clean burn. There's something therapeutic about fire. The way it doesn't negotiate. It doesn't compromise. It just takes. It erases. It purifies. I didn't burn her clothes. This wasn't some cliché breakup tantrum. I burned the expectations. All the wedding cards. The couple's photo album. That his and hers key holder by the door I once thought was cute. Every item that whispered, she loved you once. Into the flames. The bonfire crackled behind the rental. Nobody asked questions. Small towns respect silence the way cities worship noise. When it was done, I stood there alone, the smell of ash on my jacket, the wind brushing past like even it knew better than to offer comfort. Let her cry about property value. Let her call her mom. Let Chase punch holes in drywall while trying to explain to his wife why he was a cliché in khakis. They wanted drama. I gave them theater. But what came next wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. Starting over is a myth. You don't reset. You carry the dents. You just learn to walk with them without limping. I took a job fixing up old houses. Hammer in hand. Mind quiet. There's clarity in manual labor that therapy can't buy. The landlord where I rented had a rotting porch. I fixed it for free. He offered me a discount. I refused it. Doing something for nothing was the first real freedom I'd felt in years. There were days when I missed her. But not the real her, the one in the kitchen making coffee, humming off-key. I missed the version of her that never existed. The one I thought I had. But even ghosts were out there welcome eventually. Ashley didn't take the divorce well. At first, she lawyered up, claimed emotional distress, gaslighting, and a campaign to sabotage her stability. Cute, really. Then my lawyer dropped the files. All of them. The hotel receipts. The messages. Her own smug little quotes in black and white. He still thinks we're just having a rough patch. The judge didn't need long. Ashley lost the house. The car. Half her savings. And thanks to a small clause I'd inserted in our prenup, one she'd never bothered to read, she owed my legal fees too. She tried to fight it. But fighting truth is like shadowboxing a mirror. You wear yourself out punching the reflection while the truth stays perfectly still. She moved in with a friend. Or maybe Chase. Didn't care. Because when the smoke cleared, she wasn't just without me. She was without control. And that's what really broke her. Months passed. One morning, I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. But I knew the script like I knew the lies it once penned. Logan. I didn't know how else to say this. You hurt me. You humiliated me. You exposed me. But I guess I deserved it. I wasn't happy. And instead of talking to you, I ran to someone else. I wish I could take it back. But I know I can't. I hope you find peace. Ashley. I folded the letter. Didn't frame it. Didn't burn it. Just tucked it into the back of the drawer under the sink. behind the batteries and the broken flashlight. Because closure is a choice. You don't get it from the person who hurt you. You take it. You want to know what revenge really is? It's not the courtroom wins. It's not the anonymous envelope. It's not even the silence that follows the storm. It's peace. It's waking up without checking her side of the bed. It's driving past the restaurant where they ambushed you and not flinching. It's hearing her name and feeling nothing. It's knowing you didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't lower yourself to her level. You walked out, head high. And before you did, you left a note on the pillow that said everything that needed saying. Does your new friend know who his wife is? I already told you. That was the day I stopped being the victim in someone else's story and started writing my own. No dramatics. No fireworks. Just a man who took back the pen and wrote the end.